Greetings to all our Earthling viewers and Nook Neck to all our Klingon viewers tonight. We are, of course, the Thralls of Metal. I am Shredlord.
Necrotic Nick.
And we are here to bring you another excellent album review. This time, my friends, the 16th studio album from prog legends Queensryche, Digital Noise Alliance.
This also comes out on the 7th of October on Century Media. This band formed in 1982 in Bellevue, Washington. Again, 16th album, and I mean, there's a bunch of other stuff that has gone on in terms of legal disputes, splits, two versions of the band, one version forced to change their name, some mudslinging maybe between the two camps.
They should have fought it out. That is the Klingon way. And whichever warrior stands tall at the end is victorious.
I mean, their emblem does kind of look like a Klingon weapon. I'm just saying. That's the tie-in you're looking for, right?
It does kind of look like, I think it's called like a Batla or a Batla. I'm telling you, dude.
Now, this band, essentially prog metal royalty, been known for years. Now, here's a confession for me. I'm very not familiar with this band in terms of like the bulk of their work. Of course, I know like Operation Mindcrime, Empire, and admittedly, I do like that song Sign of the Times off of Here in the Now Frontier. I know it's not a very popular album.
I would agree, yes.
But I like that song. But honestly, this is my first experience with the Todd LaTorre lineup. So this was kind of a fresh listen for me.
I have been a fan of Queensryche for a long time, since I was a teenager. Love early Queensryche. I kind of tuned out to most everything I heard after Empire, but Operation Mindcrime was a really important album to me as a kid, and for that reason, I've always kind of kept an eye on Queensryche, even when a lot of the main members are no longer in the band anymore. Let's see, I don't think the drummer Scott Rockenfeld has been there for forever. My favorite member besides Jeff Tate would be Chris DeGarmo, the original guitar player, along with Michael Wilson. He has been gone for forever, and I think that was a big deal to them. And while they did do a good job of persevering and keeping on, I definitely felt the loss of Chris DeGarmo as a fan. But they have done an amazing job with bringing other people in. Mike Stone is somebody who they brought back. I believe Parker Lundgren was Jeff Tate's son-in-law.
I don't know.
Pretty sure he was his son-in-law. He was with the band for a long time. For whatever reason, he left maybe last year around that time. And they brought back Mike Stone, who was, I believe, a producer and a guitar player who's played with them in the past. It might be that Frontier album you're thinking of. Somewhere around there. Tribe, like around the Tribe era, kind of stuff like that, I think.
Vaguely remember that album.
But I've been a fan for a while now, and even though Jeff Tate is my favorite member of Queensryche, he's one of my favorite singers of all time, I still really enjoy Todd LaTorre, and I'm willing to listen to Queensryche with Todd LaTorre because, A, he's a hell of a vocalist. He's kind of like Bruce Dickinson and Jeff Tate in one singer, and he's multi-talented. He plays drums, he smokes a pack of cigarettes a day, and he still can sing higher than your grandmother after she gets kicked in the twat.
It's insane to, first off, think about anyone's grandmother's twat. That's the one insane thing.
Wrinkled Meat Mountain.
And, all right, just kicking that raisin, aren't you?
You remember the big Montana from
Jesus Christ, dude. What the fuck? Please tell me there was no horsey sauce on it.
I can't say that with a straight face.
Your family reunions are fucked up.
They're awesome.
So going into this kind of, with fresh ears, I honestly didn't know what to expect. Like, I'm, again, familiar with very little, but again, like some of the more popular stuff. And, I mean, overall, like, this has definitely a very 80s heavy metal vibe. The opening track, In Extremis, honestly, it sounds like it could have been a song on Somewhere in Time. Like, it has, like, 80s Iron Maiden, kind of when they were really at, like, peak popularity sound. But there's also, like, proggier elements later on the album. You have big arena rockers. This is an interesting listen.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place from a song standpoint. You have moments of, like Nick said, this kind of Iron Maiden vibe. There is some retro Queensryche vibes in here. Songs like Hold On, or honestly, even In Extremis, I can hear parts where I feel like that's a little bit old school Queensryche mixed in as well with some Iron Maiden worship, absolutely. You get a single.
You get like a couple singles,
but one noticeably single, The Forest or Forest. maybe my least favorite track on this. It is my least favorite track on the song. It is like a very mellow, chill song, and it did not fit the rest of the album for me. I just wasn't vibing with it.
All right, this is the band that wrote quite possibly one of the best ballads of all time, in my opinion. Silent City. It's a gorgeous song. I still fucking love it. And part of me thinks they're still maybe trying to do that again, and they didn't. Like, the song just feels like AM gold, and it kind of hurts the flow of the album because, like, there's some really good songs in here that are just, like, again, like, flat-out classic heavy metal, and showing off their proggy side, like Lost in Sorrow.
Great.
Really killer song, big chorus, which the choruses on here are huge, and a lot of these songs are really propelled by Todd La Torre's vocal performance, which is fucking solid on here.
Yeah, and the songwriting is very well done and very well thought out. A lot of times they get very proggy and very spacey. Even a track like Behind the Walls has a very 70s old school prog keyboard sound, which just gives it this really cool retro vibe. And while the chorus was a little bit cheesy at times, it was a good cheese.
It was good. It was. I mean, it's almost kind of a call and response one. Like, if they played that live, if the fans know it, they would sing it back to them. And honestly, it's one of the songs that I like the most because it's one of the longer songs where they kind of explore the song. Like, it doesn't necessarily stick rigidly to a verse, chorus, big, giant hook. Like, of course, it still has them, but the songwriting is a little bit more adventurous. Like, you get that on Tormentum 2, one of the last tracks, which I think is one of the strongest tracks on there. Like, that goes full bore prog, as in just kind of going all over the place. Like, it becomes kind of a jam session.
Yes, that's what I did.
Slightly heavier hooks, too.
It was kind of like a controlled jam session. It sets a groove. It continues to repeat that groove while the guitars kind of explore some melodies and such. And while there wasn't a lot of guitar play, you did get more towards the end of the album. But when the guitar play was there and the leads were there, it sounded really good. If anything, I could have used more. The double melody lines, which are kind of, honestly, to me, one of the staples of Queensryche are those double melody lines and are some of the double lead guitar solos. The way they harmonize and the way they do, like, ascending and descending thirds. You know, and they do that in sync together. That's kind of like a classic Queensryche trope. It was there, but it definitely could have been brought out a little bit more, especially during some of, like, the jam band parts. I felt like it could have made it a little bit more epic, but it was pretty cool nonetheless.
There were some, like, moments at the end of Hold On that it got a little bit more, you know, like, lead friendly. A lot of the times, like, the leads feel kind of just simple, like, just there to complement the main melody. Like, all right, yeah, we have a nice little top part here that almost works like a vocal line. In fact, there's a couple of parts in here where the vocal lines are working in tandem with a guitar lead melody. And, you know, it works out for the most part.
And speaking of various things in this album, we almost get a B-side to the Mortal Kombat soundtrack in the track Nocturnal Light. It's very, like, techno metal, like KMFDM.
Yeah.
And,
oh man, I didn't. Yep, it is.
And it was shocking to hear on that track for sure. I felt like, especially when you get some of the vocal sound clips, it was very KMFDM.
Yeah, like there's some occasional, like, deeper vocals that come in, like, you know, you just hear that in the background. And there's this industrial sort of clutter in the background. This song in itself is just kind of a simple rocker, but it's just busy with extra shit. Like, there seems to be a lot of layered vocals on it. There's that industrial clutter behind it. And there's, like, some weird muffled guitar lines too. And this was, like, one of my least favorites on here because this one just, I don't know, like, it just feels like an average rocker just kind of, like, gussied up. Like, they just put a bunch of fucking glitter or whatever on it. It's like, it's shinier now. And that wasn't, like, the only one that I felt was kind of single-ish. And that was something I kind of had to remind myself of in terms of, like, how to approach this band. This is a prog metal band that wrote some hit singles. Not a lot of prog metal bands actually get to claim that. Like, you know, Silent City was a giant song, and hell, even Jet Set Woman and fucking Empire. Those were pretty big fucking singles. Eyes of a Stranger.
Yeah.
Good size single.
Those songs are still played on the radio today.
So part of me thinks in terms of, like, you know, their songwriting style, they're still trying to chase the big hooks more so than maybe a band like Dream Theater where they kind of just, you know, do Dream Theater songs.
Right. A song like Realms really showcases that as well. It's almost like arena rock. at a point.
It's montage rock. And, it has, of course, the good uplifting spirit. Like, it's just, a very triumphant song. Kind of same thing with Chapters, too. But, I don't know, it just doesn't really stand out very much. Like, it's just, kind of a by-the-numbers rocker. And when you consider all the, more, lavish songwriting that's on here, like Hold On, Tormentum, and Behind the Walls, those songs just kind of end up feeling like filler. And this album runs about a solid hour too, and I was like, man, if you trim down some of this, maybe some of the more basic tracks that, they're good, but it doesn't showcase what the band really excels at.
Or it doesn't necessarily gel as well with the rest of the collection of material.
Kind of collides with it.
Another thing that we didn't really talk about, but I think we should talk about, is I believe this to be the first time that drummer Casey Grillo, or Grillo, or however the hell you say his name, I'm sorry. He's a fabulous drummer. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I believe this is the first time he did the drums on the album. I believe Todd LaTorre, the lead singer, actually was doing the drums for a while because Scott Rockenfeld has been on some kind of weird hiatus. I don't know what the hell's going on there. But Casey does a damn good job on this album. The drums sound phenomenal. If you know anything about Casey, he was in a band called Camelot back in the day, and he did some phenomenal drum work with Camelot. Whether you're a fan or not, his drumming speaks for itself, and it definitely lends a powerful hand and foot. Get it? Because he's a drummer, he's a bit like whatever.
Honestly, the drum work I thought was really solid. A lot of cleverly accented, spots. I like the cymbal work especially. He accents stuff with the cymbal work really well on here. And production-wise, this was done by Zeus. And, notable, solid record producer. He does a great job. Everything's very crisp, very clear. I wouldn't mind maybe a thicker guitar tone. I will say that. The guitar tone at times just kind of felt, just not quite heavy enough, especially when they're trying to go for heavier songs like Sick Death, which that is spelled Sicdeth. And that sounds like a 90s fucking nu metal band that came out in 1998 with spiky blonde dyed hair and a nose ring.
That was a 11-year-old Shred trying to come up with band names for himself, and he's writing shit on his little notebook in junior high. Sick Death, man, yeah!
Dude, that's so fucking cool, man.
Oh my god, they will tremble before Professor Chaos.
Tried running across the street to tell my friends, but I tripped over my Jenkos and fell.
Fuck.
But yeah, that song is notably a little bit heavier, a little bit more upbeat. Riffs are a little bit more thrashy on it, with maybe a stronger guitar tone on it. I don't know. I feel like I probably would have again propelled the song a little bit more, give it a little bit more oomph.
Yeah, a little more heft. But overall, the guitar sounded good, I think. It's a personal choice. Queensryche always kind of had a very smooth sound to their guitars for the most part. So,
and if I was gonna say one more slightly negative thing, there's a lot of platitudes in the lyrics. It's a lot of kind of the saying you can do it and you got to turn the page, a lot of the stuff that's kind of repeated. And granted, it's delivered with a lot of emotion and it's done really well. But I don't know, I kind of got tired of that. But I have to say, the closing cover of Rebel Yell, absolutely killer. It made me fall in love with the song again. And I already love that song.
They do a hell of a job. Todd LaTorre does a really good job imitating Billy Idol and all his little idolisms.
The croons.
Yeah, it was really enjoyable to listen to. And when I saw the track, I thought to myself, no. And when it got there, I was like, okay.
I mean, I love that song when I first heard it as a kid, and I still love it now.
I'm more of an eyes without a face guy, but I digress. Let's talk ratings, shall we? I'm going to give this album, I think this album for me is a 3 out of 5. I think this is a solid outing by Queensryche. I think there are some very strong melodic and musical themes that go on in here. I think they did an excellent job with some of the songwriting. Where it fell short for me is some of the songs did not A, fit with the rest of the material, or B, they just kept going for the hook, which is great what they do, but it didn't always capture me as much as I would have liked. So 3 out of 5, I still think it's a solid listen, and if you have not had a chance to hear the previous one, we did not review it, but that's also a pretty solid outing from the boys as well. I believe that album to be a little bit more aggressive, while this album's a little bit more experimental and spacey, but both are pretty solid. So if you're a fan of Queensryche at all, definitely check this out.
I'm also going to go with a 3 on this one. And again, this was kind of my first experience with the Todd LaTorre age. And dude, solid singer. And I think the songs that I like on here, they're really standouts. Like, they're really solid. They're really well written. I kind of lean more towards the proggier side, but the more singlish side and the Forest Ballad, like, I swear I could see, like, the opening credits to some fucking TV show I'd never watch while that song was playing. Like, it's just, I don't know why it's there.
The Forest almost sounds like Clint Howard and Little Nicky could be dripping wax on his nipples as the song is playing, with a plethora of patchouli candles gently lit in the background, while some Kenny G or perhaps Michael Bolton soothes in the background. That's it. Just, man.
It's something Buffalo Bill would dance naked to while tucking his dick between his legs.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me.
But outside of that, like, there's some really solid songs in here, and I think the songwriting in here, for the most part, is really good. And again, this is kind of my first, experience here with the Todd La Torre age, and from what Shred jammed me up the last one, I think I might prefer that one a little bit more, because we played 2 tracks and I was like, dude, these are both like really solid and notably more aggressive. Still, I think you should definitely check this out if you're a longtime Queensryche fan. You're definitely going to hear stuff that sounds very familiar in terms of that classic age. And if you just like modern prog, there's a lot of modern prog, metal on here, as well as, some more classic sounding prog too. I'd definitely be down for listening to more of this age too, but yeah, 3 out of 5, I think it's pretty good.
Well, I don't know how to say goodbye in Klingon, so I guess I'll just have to say goodbye to you all in human. If you like what you saw, please give us a thumbs up, like the review, we greatly appreciate it. If you are new here, we have a website called thrallsofmetal.com where we carry some pretty cool merchandise. We are working very hard to add new merchandise to our merch section. We also have a Patreon where you can check out that link either in the YouTube video or on our website as well. And also, last but not least, thank you all for taking time out of your day to spend it with us shitheads. We greatly appreciate every ounce of time, energy, and just you. Thank you all for watching us. We appreciate you. You're the real MVPs, forever and always.
And of course, I have to thank you one more time, because this is what I do, and it's always sincere because the shit's fucking awesome, and I love doing it. So thank you all once again, and we will catch you later.